r/AITA for exposing my stepdaughter who lied about my miscarriage online? AITA for exposing my stepdaughter who lied about my miscarriage online. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to scroll through a 17-year-old's Instagram at 2 a.m., but grief does strange things to you. What I found made my blood turn to ice. Asterisk stepmommy dearest is still milking her fake miscarriage for sympathy points LMAOO asterisk read the caption under a photo of Maya and her friends at Starbucks. The comments were even worse. Asterisk girl your stepmom is actually psychotic asterisk and asterisk why do old ladies always lie about this stuff for attention? Asterisk. My hands shook as I screenshotted everything. 3 weeks ago, I lost the baby David and I had been trying for since we got married 2 years ago. I was 12 weeks along, far enough that we'd started talking about names, far enough that I'd already moved my work laptop out of what I'd begun thinking of as the nursery. The cramping started on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday evening, it was over. I thought I'd been handling it well, all things considered. I took a few days off work, let David bring me soup in bed, and tried not to fall apart when I had to cancel the doctor's appointment we'd been so excited about. Maya seemed, not sympathetic, exactly, but at least respectful. She'd even made me tea once without being asked. Apparently, that was all an act. I kept scrolling, my heart pounding harder with each post. There were TikToks I'd never seen, Maya dancing to trending sounds with captions like asterisk when your stepmom thinks pregnancy equals personality asterisk and asterisk POV, you have to pretend to care about someone's fake family drama asterisk. The worst part was how many of her friends were engaging, laughing along, sharing their own stories about attention-seeking adults in their lives. But it was the Instagram story that broke me completely. A screenshot of a text conversation, my conversation with David from the hospital, where I'd told him the doctor couldn't find a heartbeat anymore. Maya had photographed it over his shoulder, apparently, and shared it with the caption, asterisk evidence that some people will literally turn anything into their main character moment. Watch her post about this for the next 6 months asterisk. She'd shared the most devastating moment of my life like it was gossip. The comments kept coming. Friends from her school, people I'd driven to soccer practice, kids who'd eaten dinner at our table. All of them discussing my grief like it was entertainment. Like I was some pathetic woman desperate for attention rather than someone who'd lost a child. I sat in our dark living room, David sleeping peacefully upstairs, completely unaware that his daughter was systematically destroying any sympathy I might have had from our community. Every screenshot felt like a betrayal. Not just from Maya, I'd known she resented me from the day David and I started dating, but from all these people who'd smiled at me in the grocery store, who'd sent kind messages after David shared our loss on Facebook. Maya had poisoned all of it. My finger hovered over her contact info. I could see she was still active, probably scrolling through more comments, reveling in the attention her cruelty was getting her. Part of me wanted to march upstairs and wake up David right now, shove the phone in his face, and force him to see what his innocent little girl was really like. But another part of me, the part that had been quietly taking screenshots for the past hour, had a different plan forming. Maya wanted to play games with my reputation? Fine. Let's see how she liked it when everyone knew exactly what kind of person she really was. I barely slept that night, my phone burning like evidence under my pillow. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those comments, heard the echo of teenage laughter at my expense. By morning, I had a plan that felt both perfectly justified and absolutely terrifying. David was already in the shower when I crept downstairs to make coffee. Maya sat at the kitchen island, scrolling through her phone with that blank expression teenagers perfect, the one that makes them look innocent even when you know they're anything but. Morning, sweetie, I said, my voice steady despite the rage simmering beneath my skin. She glanced up, gave me a tight smile. Hey. Back to her phone. I wondered if she was reading new comments, posting fresh content about me. The thought made my stomach twist, but I forced myself to pour coffee with steady hands. I needed to think this through carefully. David's driving you to school today, right? I asked. Yeah, my car's still making that weird noise. She didn't look up. Perfect. That gave me the morning to execute phase 1. After they left, I spread the screenshots across my laptop screen like evidence at a crime scene. 43 images total. Posts, comments, private stories, TikToks. A comprehensive documentation of Maya's campaign against me. My first instinct was to forward everything to David immediately, but something held me back. He defended Maya before when I tried to address her attitude, always with gentle explanations about divorce trauma and adjustment periods. He saw her as his little girl who needed protection, not the calculating teenager who'd photographed my most private moments. No, David would need more than screenshots. He'd need consequences he couldn't explain away. I started with Maya's school. Not the principal, that felt too nuclear for an opening move. Instead, I found the contact information for Mrs. Rodriguez, the counselor who'd reached out when Maya's grades dipped last semester. Someone who knew Maya personally, who'd have to reconcile this cruelty with the girl she thought she knew. I'm concerned about some troubling online behavior, I wrote, attaching 3 of the worst screenshots. I think Maya might benefit from some guidance about digital citizenship and empathy. Send. Next, I opened Facebook and began crafting a post. Nothing melodramatic, I didn't need to be. The screenshots would speak for themselves. I've been overwhelmed by the kindness our family has received during this difficult time. It's heartbreaking to discover that not everyone has been as genuine as they seemed. I attached a carefully curated selection of Maya's posts, making sure to include several comments from local kids whose parents would definitely see this. I tagged 3 of David's sisters and his mother. My finger hovered over the post button. This would detonate Maya's life. Her friends would turn on her, teenagers were vicious when someone became socially toxic. Her extended family would see her differently forever. College applications, part-time job prospects, her entire reputation in our small town, all of it would be colored by this moment. But then I remembered that text message screenshot. My devastation, photographed like a trophy. Just as I was about to post, my phone buzzed. David, Maya's principal, called. Apparently someone sent screenshots of her social media to the school counselor. They want us to come in immediately. My heart stopped. The timestamps. Mrs. Rodriguez had acted faster than I'd expected, and now David would piece together that I'd sent them before he even knew there was a problem. Another text, we need to talk. Coming home now. I stared at the Facebook post, still waiting to be published. The nuclear option, still loaded and ready. Footsteps on the porch. David's key in the door. Too late to back down now. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the picture frames. I slammed my laptop shut and shoved my phone under a couch cushion, my heart hammering against my ribs. Sarah. David's voice carried a tone I'd never heard before, sharp, confused, angry. What the hell is going on? I walked into the foyer on unsteady legs. David stood there still in his work clothes, his hair disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. Behind him, Maya slouched against the doorframe with red-rimmed eyes and that defiant expression she wore whenever she was caught doing something wrong. The school counselor had some very interesting screenshots to show us, David continued, his voice tight. Screenshots that someone sent to the school this morning. Before I even knew there was a problem. I lifted my chin. Maybe you should ask your daughter why there was a problem in the first place. Oh, don't turn this around on Maya. David stepped closer, and for the first time in our marriage, I felt intimidated by him. Whatever she posted, the appropriate response was to talk to me, not go behind my back to her school. Whatever she posted? The words came out as a strangled laugh. David, do you have any idea what your daughter has been doing? I know she's 17 and made some stupid comments online. I know that instead of coming to me like an adult, you decided to try and get her in trouble at school. Maya's phone buzzed. Then again. And again. She glanced down and her face went pale. Dad, she said quietly, but David was too focused on me to notice. We're supposed to be a family, Sarah. You can't just. Dad. Maya's voice cracked. She was staring at her phone like it had caught fire. Someone posted screenshots on Facebook. Everyone's sharing them. My blood turned to ice. I hadn't published that post. I was sure I hadn't. But Maya's face told a different story. David whipped around to look at his daughter, then back at me. What screenshots on Facebook? I started, but Maya was already shoving her phone toward her father. Look what she did to me. Maya's voice pitched higher. She sent all my stuff to everyone. Aunt Linda shared it, Grandma commented, everyone from school is seeing it. David grabbed the phone and I watched his face change as he scrolled. His anger morphed into something worse, disappointment. But I couldn't tell who it was directed at. Sarah, he said slowly, not looking up from the phone. Did you post these? No. I mean, I was going to, but I didn't hit send. I closed my laptop when I heard you coming home. Well, someone posted them. Maya was crying now, genuine tears of humiliation. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing. Jessica's mom sent it to the whole soccer team group chat. Mrs. Henderson from down the street commented asking if this is really what I think about family. I fumbled for my laptop, hands shaking as I opened it. Facebook was still up, and there it was, my post, published 20 minutes ago. Somehow, closing the laptop had triggered it to send. David was reading the comments aloud, disgusting behavior. How could a child be so cruel? This girl needs serious help. He looked up at me with something I'd never seen before in his eyes, genuine anger mixed with something that might have been fear. You destroyed her reputation. Over teenage drama. Teenage drama? My voice cracked. She shared a screenshot of us finding out our baby died, David. She turned our miscarriage into a joke for her friends. The silence that followed was deafening. Outside, a car door slammed. Then another. Maya peered through the curtains. Oh God. Aunt Linda's here. And she brought Mom. I watched through the window as Linda's silver sedan pulled into our driveway, followed immediately by a black SUV that made my stomach drop. Claire. David's ex-wife, Maya's biological mother, and the woman who'd made it clear from day one that I was an unwelcome intruder in their family dynamic. This is perfect, Maya sobbed, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Now Mom's going to see what you did to me. She's going to think I'm some kind of monster. David was still staring at his phone, scrolling through comment after comment. 47 shares, he said quietly. In 20 minutes, this has been shared 47 times. He looked up at me with an expression I couldn't read. Sarah, what exactly did Maya post? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Then someone knocked. Hard. David. Open the door. Linda's voice carried through the windows. We need to talk about this Facebook situation right now. Maya bolted toward the stairs. I can't face them. I can't look at Mom knowing she saw all of this. You stay right where you are, David commanded, his voice sharp enough to stop Maya mid-step. We're all going to sit down and figure this out like adults. The knocking got more insistent. I heard Claire's voice now too, lower but somehow more threatening than Linda's indignation. Maya, honey, are you okay? Mommy's here. David opened the door and they swept in like a hurricane. Linda, all righteous fury and clicking heels, Claire behind her in workout clothes, her face a mask of controlled rage I recognized from custody handoff days. Where is she? Claire pushed past David, scanning the room until her eyes landed on Maya. Then her gaze shifted to me, and I actually took a step backward. And where's the woman who thought it was appropriate to publicly humiliate a child? Claire, let's just, David started. No. Claire held up a hand. I got 17 phone calls, David. 17. From neighbors, from other parents, from Maya's teachers who saw this online. My daughter's face is plastered all over social media being called a sociopath. Linda was already at my laptop, scrolling through the Facebook post. Sarah, honey, what were you thinking? This poor girl. Poor girl? The words exploded out of me. Did any of you actually read what she posted? What she did? She's 17. Claire's voice rose. She's a child processing trauma, and you, she gestured at the laptop screen. You decided to destroy her life because your feelings got hurt? Maya was crying harder now, the kind of hitching sobs that made her look younger than her 17 years. Claire immediately moved to her daughter's side, wrapping her arms around her protectively. My feelings got hurt? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She took a screenshot of me finding out our baby died. She posted it online with commentary about how I was faking it for attention. I want to see these screenshots, Linda interrupted. The actual posts, not your Facebook commentary. My hands shook as I pulled up the folder on my laptop. The room fell silent as I clicked through the images, Maya's Instagram stories, the TikTok videos, the group chat messages calling me desperate and pathetic. Claire's face changed as she scrolled through them. The protective anger shifted into something more complicated. Linda made a small noise of shock at one particularly cruel post. Maya, David said quietly. Did you really write these things? Maya's sobs were the only answer. Oh, honey, Claire whispered, her voice breaking. What did you do? But even as the reality of Maya's cruelty sank in, I could see something else forming in Claire's eyes. Not just disappointment in her daughter, but a calculation about how to manage this disaster. And I realized this was just the beginning. She's been struggling since you two got married, Claire said finally, her voice taking on that practiced tone I recognized from parent-teacher conferences. This is clearly a cry for help, not malicious intent. I stared at her in disbelief. A cry for help? She posted a video recreating the moment I collapsed in grief, Claire. She acted it out for her friends. Kids don't always know how to express their feelings about blended families, Linda chimed in, apparently deciding to play family therapist. Maya's been dealing with a lot of changes. Stop. David's voice cut through the room like a blade. He was still holding Maya's phone, still scrolling through the screenshots. Just. Everyone stopped talking for a minute. Maya looked up at her father hopefully, mascara streaking her cheeks. Dad, I can explain. No. He held up a hand without looking at her. Sarah, this post here. The one where she's talking about stepmonster finally showing her true colors. When did this happen? I peered at the screen. It was from 2 weeks ago, right after I'd asked Maya to help with dishes after dinner. She was angry because I asked her to clean up after herself. And this one about you probably lying about being pregnant too? His voice was getting quieter, which somehow made it more frightening. Claire shifted uncomfortably. David, we don't need to go through every. Yes, we do. He turned to face his ex-wife, and I saw Maya flinch at his expression. Because apparently while I've been trying to keep this family together, my daughter has been systematically trying to destroy my marriage online. Maya's phone buzzed again. And again. She glanced at it and let out a fresh sob. They're everywhere now. All the comments. People are finding my other social media accounts. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to make Sarah's miscarriage into entertainment, David said coldly. The silence that followed was broken by Claire's sharp intake of breath. That's enough. Maya, get your things. You're coming home with me tonight. She's not going anywhere, David said immediately. Like hell she's not. Claire stood up, pulling Maya with her. Look what your wife has done to her. Look at those comments. People are calling her names I won't repeat. And what about what Maya did to Sarah? David's voice rose for the first time. What about the names she called her? What about sharing private family information with hundreds of strangers? Maya's phone rang. She glanced at it and her face went white. It's Jessica. She says someone made a compilation video of all my posts. It's on TikTok. Linda immediately pulled out her own phone, fingers flying over the screen. Oh no. Oh honey, no. She turned the phone toward us, and I could see a video titled Cruel Stepdaughter Exposed for Faking Miscarriage Claims. My stomach dropped. This was spiraling completely out of control. See what you've done? Claire rounded on me, her protective instincts in full force. This will follow her forever. College admissions, job applications. What I've done? I couldn't contain my anger anymore. I didn't make her post those things. I didn't make her be cruel. I just refused to let her get away with it. You could have handled this privately, Linda said, closing her laptop with a snap. You could have been the adult. I tried. She wasn't listening. Maya's phone rang again. This time she answered, her voice small and shaky. Hello? Mom, someone from Channel 7 wants to interview me about the viral stepdaughter scandal. The room fell dead silent. David slowly turned to look at me, and for the first time since I'd known him, I couldn't read his expression at all. Channel 7? David's voice was barely a whisper. Maya, hang up the phone. But they said they want to hear my side of the story. Hang up. The phone. Now. Maya ended the call, but it immediately started ringing again. Different number. Then her other social media notifications started going crazy, the pings and buzzes creating a constant soundtrack of digital chaos. Claire was frantically scrolling through her own phone. David, this is everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Someone created a hashtag. Hashtag stepmonster exposed is trending. My blood ran cold. That's not. I never used that word. She did. In her posts about me. Doesn't matter now, Linda said grimly. The story's taken on a life of its own. David's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his face darkened. It's my boss. He stepped into the kitchen to answer, and I could hear his voice getting increasingly strained. No, sir, I understand the company's reputation. Yes, I saw the news coverage. What do you mean someone called the office? Maya was reading something on her phone, fresh tears streaming down her face. They found my school. Someone posted the address online and said people should let them know what kind of students they're raising. Claire immediately called the school, pacing by the window. Hi, this is Claire Morrison, Maya's mother. Yes, I know why you're calling. No, she won't be in tomorrow. I understand your concerns about campus safety. Campus safety. The words hit me like a physical blow. What does that mean? I asked when Claire hung up. It means, Claire said, her voice like ice, that people are threatening to show up at her school. It means Maya can't go to class tomorrow because of your little revenge fantasy. My revenge fantasy? She's the one who. She's a kid. Claire exploded. She's a 17-year-old kid who made a stupid mistake, and now she's getting death threats from strangers on the internet. Death threats? David reappeared in the doorway, his face pale. What death threats? Maya held up her phone with shaking hands. People are finding all my accounts. They're saying they're saying horrible things about what should happen to me. I felt sick. This wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted her to face consequences, to understand what she'd done. Not this. We need to take her somewhere safe, Claire said, already moving toward the door. My sister's place upstate. Maya can stay there until this dies down. She's not running away from this, David said firmly. We're going to figure this out as a family. Family? Claire laughed bitterly. Your wife just destroyed your daughter's life on social media. What kind of family does that? David turned to me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in his eyes, doubt. Sarah, when you posted this, did you think about what might happen? Really think about it? I tried to find words, but they wouldn't come. Had I thought about it? I'd been so angry, so hurt, so desperate for someone to see what she'd done to me. But this? I didn't think it would go viral. I just wanted people to know the truth. The truth? Maya looked up at me, and for a moment she looked like a little girl I'd met 5 years ago. The truth is that I hate having a stepmom. The truth is that I wish Dad never married you. The truth is that when you lost the baby, part of me was relieved because it meant there wouldn't be another person taking Dad away from me. The room went completely silent. But I didn't mean for it to become this, she whispered. I didn't mean for everyone to see. I just wanted my friends to understand why I was angry all the time. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Is this Sarah Henderson? We'd like to offer you $5,000 for an exclusive interview about your stepdaughter situation. The media had found me too. My hands were shaking as I showed David the text. $5,000 for an exclusive interview, I read aloud, my voice hollow. Jesus Christ, he muttered, running his hands through his hair. How did they even get your number? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Then buzzed with another text. Then another call from a different number. Within minutes, it was a constant stream of notifications. Sarah Henderson? This is Rebecca Martinez from TMZ. I hung up immediately, but it rang again seconds later. Don't answer any of them, Linda said sharply. Not a single one. Maya was curled up in the corner of the couch now, scrolling through her phone with a look of growing horror. They're posting pictures of our house, she whispered. Someone drove by and took pictures. They posted the address. What? David grabbed her phone. His face went white. There are people commenting about driving by to see the drama house. Someone said they're going to pay us a visit. Claire was already on her phone again. I'm calling the police. This is harassment. The police can't do anything about people posting on social media, Linda said grimly. Unless there are direct threats. There are direct threats. Maya held up her phone, but she was crying too hard to read them aloud. David took the phone and his jaw clenched as he scrolled. Okay, yes. We're definitely calling the police. My own phone had become unusable with a constant stream of calls and messages. I turned it off, but somehow that made everything feel worse, like I was cut off from the world while it spun out of control around me. Mom, what if they come to the house? Maya asked, her voice small and scared. Gone was the defiant teenager from an hour ago. She looked terrified. They're not going to come to the house, David said, but he was already checking the locks on the front door. This is just internet nonsense. It'll blow over. Will it? I asked quietly. Because I keep getting texts offering money for interviews. This isn't dying down, David. It's getting bigger. Claire returned from her call with the police. They're sending someone over to take a report, but they said unless there are credible, specific threats of violence, there's not much they can do about online harassment. What about the people posting our address? David asked. They said that's unfortunately not illegal unless someone actually shows up and causes problems. A car door slammed outside, and we all froze. David crept to the window and peered through the curtains. It's just Mrs. Peterson from next door, he said, but his shoulders remained tense. My laptop chimed with a new notification. Someone had found my LinkedIn profile and was messaging my employer. Then another notification, someone had found my Facebook and was tagging my family members in posts about the fake miscarriage stepmom. They're going after my work, I said, my voice barely audible. My sister. My parents. Linda was back on her laptop, her expression getting grimmer by the minute. There are 3 different hashtags trending now. Someone created a fake account pretending to be you, Sarah, posting even more inflammatory stuff. What kind of stuff? You don't want to know. Maya's phone rang again. This time it was a FaceTime call from someone she didn't recognize. When she declined it, another one came through immediately. Then another. They're trying to get me to answer so they can record it, she said, her voice rising with panic. There are hundreds of people trying to call me. David gathered all our phones and tablets. Everyone's devices go off. Now. We need to think about this without the constant noise. But even in the sudden digital silence, we could hear cars slowing down outside. People were already starting to drive by the house. We can't stay here tonight, Claire said firmly. Maya's coming with me. We're all leaving, David said quietly. We're going to a hotel. The hotel was supposed to be a refuge, but even there, we couldn't escape what I'd unleashed. David had chosen a small place 20 miles outside town, paying cash and using his middle name. We packed hastily, Claire taking Maya to her sister's, while David and I fled to what felt increasingly like a safe house. The irony wasn't lost on me that we were hiding from the consequences of my attempt to expose Maya's lies. The local news wants a statement, David said, staring at the hotel room's ancient TV where our story was now the lead segment. They'd used Maya's school photo, the one from last year where she looked particularly young. Controversy erupts over teens' social media claims about stepmother's miscarriage. Turn it off, I said, but he was transfixed. A 17-year-old girl is receiving death threats tonight after her stepmother exposed what she calls cruel lies about a recent pregnancy loss, the anchor continued. The teenager, whose name we're not releasing due to her age, allegedly posted on social media claiming her stepmother faked a miscarriage for attention. The stepmother's response has sparked a fierce debate about family privacy and online accountability. They weren't releasing Maya's name, but everyone who mattered already knew it. Her classmates, teachers, our neighbors, they'd all seen my post before it went viral. My work laptop chimed with an email. My boss, Sarah, I need to speak with you first thing Monday morning. We've received several calls from reporters asking for comment about one of our employees. Please contact me immediately. I'm going to lose my job, I said flatly. David turned away from the TV. You don't know that. Someone called my office, David. Multiple reporters. My company doesn't want to be associated with viral family drama. I laughed bitterly. I spent 6 years building my reputation there. Another email came through, this one from HR scheduling a meeting. Then another from my direct supervisor asking if I needed to take some time off to handle personal matters. David's phone rang, the room's landline. We stared at it for 4 rings before he answered. David? It's Claire. We have a problem. He put her on speaker. What kind of problem? Someone followed us. To my sister's house. There's a car parked outside with 2 people in it. They have cameras. Are you sure they followed you? Maya saw the same car behind us for the last 10 miles. When we pulled into the driveway, they parked across the street. My sister called the police, but they said since they're on a public road, there's nothing they can do unless they trespass. Maya's voice came through faintly in the background. Mom, there's another car. They're both taking pictures now. We're coming to get you, David said immediately. No. That's exactly what they want. They want more footage, more drama. We're staying put until they leave. After Claire hung up, David sank into the hotel room's single chair. This was supposed to be about accountability, he said quietly. About Maya learning that actions have consequences. I know. Instead, she's trapped in a house, afraid to go outside, while strangers photograph her. How is that justice, Sarah? I didn't have an answer. The truth was, somewhere between my rage at Maya's cruelty and my need for vindication, I'd lost sight of what justice actually looked like. I'd wanted the world to see what she'd done to me, but I hadn't considered what the world might do to her in return. There's something else, I said, pulling up my laptop. I've been getting messages. People who say they're going through custody battles, divorce proceedings. They want to hire me. Hire you for what? To expose their ex's kids on social media. They think I'm some kind of expert in stepfamily warfare. I scrolled through the messages, each one more disturbing than the last. I've become a symbol, David. The evil stepmother who fights back. David stared at me like he'd never seen me before. And is that what you are? David's question hung in the air like a blade. And is that what you are? Before I could answer, his phone buzzed with a text from his ex-wife, Linda. Turn on channel 7. Now. David fumbled for the remote, and suddenly there was Maya's father, not David, but her biological father, Marcus, standing in front of microphones outside what looked like a courthouse. I hadn't seen him in 3 years, not since the custody arrangement was finalized. My daughter is a good kid who made a teenage mistake, Marcus was saying, his voice carrying that same authoritative tone that had intimidated me during the custody hearings. What we're seeing is a grown woman using the internet to destroy a child because she couldn't handle being called out on her behavior. No, I whispered, but he kept talking. Maya came to me months ago, concerned about her stepmother's increasingly erratic behavior. The miscarriage story was just the latest in a pattern of attention-seeking that frankly has our whole family worried. David's face had gone completely white. He's lying. Maya never said anything like that to us. But Marcus wasn't finished. I'm filing for emergency custody tonight. No child should have to live in fear of being publicly humiliated by a vindictive adult who clearly can't distinguish between appropriate discipline and cyberbullying. The reporter leaned in. Are you saying Ms. Jen fabricated her pregnancy loss? I'm saying my daughter has never lied to me, and the fact that a grown woman's first instinct was to weaponize social media against a 17-year-old tells you everything you need to know about her character. David turned off the TV with shaking hands. He can't do this. The custody agreement. Emergency custody petitions can override existing agreements if there's evidence of harm, I said quietly. I'd researched it myself during our worst fights with Linda. All he needs is to convince a judge that Maya's in immediate danger. From what? From consequences for her own actions? But even as David said it, we both knew how it would look to a family court judge. A teenager posts something cruel online, and her stepmother's response leads to death threats and media circus. The optics were devastating. David's phone rang. Linda. Did you see the news? She asked without preamble. Marcus is picking Maya up tomorrow morning. He's got some emergency hearings scheduled for Monday. He can't just take her, David said. She's supposed to be with us this week. Actually, he can. I called my lawyer. With the media attention and the safety concerns, any judge will grant temporary emergency custody until there's a full hearing. I could hear papers rustling in the background. There's more, David. Marcus didn't just hold a press conference. He's hired Kelly and Associates. David went silent. Kelly and Associates was the most expensive family law firm in the state. They'd represented Linda during their divorce and nearly bankrupted David with legal fees. How can he afford Kelly and Associates? David asked. Maya's college fund. He liquidated it. $23,000, all going to legal fees to get her away from Sarah. The room felt like it was tilting. Maya's college fund, money David had been contributing to for 4 years, money from birthday gifts and summer jobs and family contributions, was now being used to destroy me. He's going for permanent custody, Linda continued. Full custody, with you getting supervised visitation only. Supervised visitation? David's voice cracked. I'm her father. Not according to his petition. According to his petition, you've failed to protect Maya from an abusive home environment. David hung up and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not anger, not disappointment, something worse. Fear. Sarah, he said slowly, what exactly did you think was going to happen when you posted those screenshots? I stared at David, his question echoing in my head. What had I thought would happen? The honest answer was terrifying. I hadn't thought at all. I'd been consumed by rage and grief, striking back without considering the avalanche I was about to trigger. I thought people would see the truth, I said finally. I thought Maya would face some consequences for being cruel about our baby. Our baby that she never wanted us to have in the first place, David said quietly. Our baby that meant her family was never getting back together. The words hit me like a slap. So that justifies what she did? No. But it explains it. David rubbed his face. She's 17, Sarah. 17-year-olds don't process grief and disappointment like adults. They lash out. They say horrible things. But we're supposed to be the grown-ups. My laptop chimed with another email. This one made my blood freeze. Sarah, this is Detective Martinez with the Metro Police. We need to speak with you regarding threats made against a minor. Please contact me immediately. David, I whispered, showing him the screen. Before he could respond, his phone rang. The caller ID showed his brother Tom's name. Tommy? David answered. Jesus Christ, David, what the hell is happening? Mom just called me crying. She saw Maya on the news. There are people outside her apartment building asking about the family situation. David closed his eyes. His 72-year-old mother lived in a senior community 40 minutes away. She barely understood social media, let alone how to handle reporters. Did anyone talk to her? David asked. She told them Maya was a sweet girl who'd been through a difficult divorce. Then she asked if they wanted cookies. Tom's voice was strained. David, they filmed her. They filmed our mother offering cookies to reporters and talking about Maya's difficult divorce. It's probably going to be on the evening news. We'll go get her, David said immediately. She's already at my house. But David, she's scared. She doesn't understand why strangers are asking about Maya, and she keeps asking if Maya did something wrong. After Tom hung up, David sat in silence for several minutes. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. My mother raised Maya from age 10 to 15 every weekend. She taught her to cook, took her to church, helped with homework. Maya calls her grandma Dot, sends her birthday cards. He looked at me. Now she's caught in the middle of this mess because I couldn't protect my family from. He trailed off. From me, I finished. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. My phone buzzed with a text from my sister in Portland. Sarah, please call me. Jake's friends at school are asking about his aunt who's internet famous. He's confused and upset. The circle kept expanding. My nephew, David's mother, probably my parents by now, all collateral damage in my war against a teenager who'd hurt my feelings. Another email arrived, this one from a major news network requesting an exclusive interview. The subject line read, your side of the story, $15,000 for 60-minute exclusive. They want to pay me, I said numbly. $15,000 to tell my side. David stared at the email. Your side of what story, Sarah? The story where you destroyed a kid's life because she said something cruel? What's your side, that you were justified? I wanted to argue, to defend myself, but the words wouldn't come. Because looking at the chaos spreading outward like ripples from a stone thrown in still water, I wasn't sure anymore what my side actually was. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. Detective Martinez was younger than I'd expected, with kind eyes that made everything worse somehow. I'd rather have faced someone hostile. Mrs. Chen, we're not pressing charges at this time, she said, sliding a folder across the metal table. But I need you to understand the seriousness of what's happening. Inside the folder were printouts of social media posts. Screenshots of my original post, now shared thousands of times with increasingly violent commentary. Someone had created a meme using Maya's school photo with the caption, liar exposed. Another post showed a map to our neighborhood with the words, this is where the evil stepmom lives. This one came in this morning, Detective Martinez said, pointing to a particularly vicious comment. Someone calling themselves Patriot Mom 47 posted your home address along with Maya's class schedule and suggested people pay you both a visit to discuss your lies. My hand shook as I read. I never meant for this to happen. Intent doesn't matter once something goes viral, Mrs. Chen. We've had to assign patrol cars to Maya's school and your neighborhood. The department is treating this as a credible threat situation. She leaned back in her chair. Here's what I need you to understand. Maya Martinez, yes, she shares my last name, we're not related, has received over 300 direct threats in the past 48 hours. Her school has been contacted by 17 different media outlets. Someone created a fake Instagram account using her photos and posted explicit content with her name attached. The room tilted. She's 17. Exactly. She's 17, which makes her a minor, which makes anyone participating in this harassment potentially liable for cyberbullying charges. Including you. I just shared screenshots of what she actually posted. You shared screenshots of a minor's social media activity to 47,000 followers, knowing it would cause public outrage. Detective Martinez's voice remained professionally neutral, which somehow made it worse than if she'd yelled. You're an adult with a large platform. You have a responsibility to consider consequences. When I got home, David was packing Maya's belongings. Not just her weekend clothes, everything. Her art supplies, the stupid stuffed elephant she'd had since childhood, the collection of vintage band t-shirts she'd spent 2 years curating. Where are you taking all that? Marcus is picking her up in an hour. David didn't look at me. The emergency custody order came through. Maya's not coming back until after the hearing. When's the hearing? 2 weeks. Maybe 3 if they can get a continuance. I watched him carefully fold Maya's favorite sweater, one I'd actually bought her last Christmas after she'd admired it online for months. She'd worn it exactly twice. David, I went to the police station. They showed me things, people are threatening her. Real threats. I know. His voice was flat. Marcus called. Maya's not going to school for the rest of the week. He's hired private security. Private security? The words felt surreal. For a 17-year-old? For a 17-year-old whose stepmother made her the most hated teenager on the internet. David finally looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in his eyes, disgust. Sarah, there are grown adults creating fake pornographic images with her face on them. Adults. Because of what you did. The front door opened. Marcus walked in without knocking, followed by a woman I didn't recognize, probably his lawyer. He surveyed the packed boxes with satisfaction. Maya's in the car, he announced. She doesn't want to come inside. Through the window, I could see her silhouette in the passenger seat, head down, hood up. Marcus turned to me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Congratulations, Sarah. You got exactly what you wanted, everyone knows who Maya really is now. Marcus's words hung in the air as he supervised the loading of Maya's belongings into his car. The woman with him, definitely a lawyer based on the way she documented everything with her phone camera, handed David a thick manila envelope. Temporary custody modification papers, she explained. Maya will remain with her father pending the outcome of the cyberbullying investigation and family court review. Cyberbullying investigation? I repeated stupidly. The school district is required to investigate all incidents involving their students, she continued matter-of-factly. Even if the initial incident occurred outside school grounds. Maya's been withdrawn from classes indefinitely. David signed the papers without reading them. Through the window, I watched Maya slump further into the passenger seat. Even from a distance, I could see she'd been crying. David, Marcus said, his voice taking on a concerned tone that felt performative. Maya's therapist thinks it would be best if she had no contact with. He gestured vaguely in my direction, the situation for a while. You mean me, I said. She can't have contact with me. Can you blame her? Marcus picked up one of the boxes. She's been getting death threats, Sarah. Actual death threats. Her Instagram had to be deleted. She can't go to her job at the yogurt shop because customers recognized her. My stomach dropped. She loved that job. Past tense, yes. They let her go yesterday. Apparently, having the viral lying stepdaughter working there was bad for business. After they left, the house felt cavernous. David and I moved around each other like strangers, the silence broken only by the occasional ping of my phone notifications, which I'd finally learned to ignore. Around dinner time, my mother called. Sarah, honey, I just got off the phone with Mrs. Patterson from down the street. She said there were vans parked outside your father's medical practice today. My blood went cold. What kind of vans? News vans, sweetie. Apparently, someone found out about your father's practice and thought it would make good background footage for their story. Mrs. Patterson said they were filming the building and asking patients about the family drama. Dad's dermatology practice had nothing to do with any of this. His patients were mostly elderly people dealing with skin cancer screenings and teenagers getting acne treatment. They didn't deserve to be ambushed by reporters. What did Dad do? He closed the office early and came home. But Sarah, he's worried about tomorrow. If they come back. She trailed off. Maybe you could call them? The news people? Tell them to leave his patients alone? After hanging up, I found David in his study, staring at his computer screen. I got an email from work, he said without looking up. HR wants to meet with me Monday morning. Apparently, some of my colleagues saw the news coverage and have concerns about the company being associated with the situation. David worked for a conservative financial firm. His clients included several prominent local families and religious organizations. The kind of people who wouldn't appreciate being linked to a viral family scandal. They can't fire you for something I did. They can fire me for bringing negative attention to the company. Which I have, by association. He finally turned around. Sarah, I've worked there for 8 years. I have clients who trust me with their retirement funds, their kids' college savings. If they think I can't handle my own family situation. So what are you saying? I'm saying maybe Marcus was right about one thing. Maybe Maya isn't the only one who needs distance from this situation. The words felt like a physical blow. Distance from what situation, David? Distance from me? I don't know yet. He closed the laptop. But I can't lose my job and my daughter and my marriage all in the same week. Something has to give. I wanted to argue, to fight back, but I was tired of fighting. Everything I'd touched in the past few days had turned to ash. The reporter called again, I said quietly. They raised their offer to $25,000. David looked at me with something that might have been hope or might have been horror. Are you considering it? Honestly? I was. The interview request wasn't just about money anymore, it was about control. For the first time in days, I had something someone else wanted badly enough to pay for. 25,000, I repeated, testing how the words felt. For 1 hour. David's expression was unreadable. What would you even say? The truth. That I never meant for it to get this big. That I was grieving and angry and I made a mistake. I paused. That Maya's just a kid who said something cruel, not a monster who deserves death threats. You think that would help her? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Unknown number with a 213 area code, Los Angeles. Mrs. Chen? This is Rebecca Walsh from TMZ. I understand Channel 7 has made you an offer for an exclusive interview. I nearly hung up, but something in her tone made me hesitate. I'm not interested in talking to TMZ. I think you misunderstand. I'm not calling to compete for an interview. I'm calling to warn you about something Channel 7 isn't telling you. David was watching me intently. I put the call on speaker. What aren't they telling me? They've already filmed B-roll footage at your stepdaughter's school. They have interviews with her classmates, her former manager at the yogurt shop, even her ex-boyfriend. This isn't going to be a sympathetic piece about grief and family dysfunction. They're building a narrative about toxic social media culture, and they need you to be the villain who realizes she was wrong. My hands went numb. But they said what you needed to hear to get you to agree. Mrs. Chen, they don't care about rehabilitating your image or helping your stepdaughter. They want you to cry on camera about how sorry you are so they can cut it together with footage of Maya hiding her face and running from reporters. After I hung up, David and I sat in silence for several minutes. You can't do the interview, he finally said. I know. But even as I said it, I felt trapped. David, what if not doing it makes things worse? What if staying silent makes people think I don't care about what's happening to Maya? Before he could answer, the landline rang. David answered, his face growing increasingly pale as he listened. What? He said sharply. Are you sure? A long pause. We'll be right there. He hung up and grabbed his keys. That was Marcus. Maya's in the hospital. The drive to Cedars Sinai felt endless. Marcus met us in the emergency department waiting room, his face haggard. She collapsed at dinner, he said without preamble. The doctors think it's severe dehydration and exhaustion. She hasn't been sleeping or eating properly since this started. Can we see her? She's asked not to see you, Sarah. Either of you. Marcus looked directly at David. She blames herself for all of this. She keeps saying she should never have posted anything, that it's her fault your marriage is falling apart, her fault my job is in jeopardy. Your job? The school district is conducting a formal review of all employees with connections to viral incidents. I'm a high school principal, David. I can't have my daughter be the poster child for cyberbullying, even as the victim. A nurse approached us. Family of Maya Martinez? Yes, all three of us said simultaneously. The doctor would like to speak with her immediate family about next steps. We're recommending a 72-hour observation period. Marcus stood up. That would be me. As he walked away with the nurse, David turned to me with eyes full of devastation. She's 17, Sarah. She's 17 years old and she's in the hospital because of choices we made as adults. The next morning, I woke up on the hospital waiting room couch with a crick in my neck and David's jacket draped over my shoulders. He was sitting in the chair across from me, scrolling through his phone with a grim expression. Any updates? I asked, my voice hoarse. Marcus came out around 3 a.m. Maya's stable, but they want to keep her another day. She's agreed to speak with a psychiatrist. He showed me his phone screen. But we have bigger problems. The headline made my stomach lurch, miscarriage hoax family, stepdaughter hospitalized after online mob attack. Below it was a photo of our house, and somehow they'd gotten a picture of Maya being wheeled into the ambulance, her face partially visible despite the paramedics' attempts to shield her. How did they? Someone at the hospital leaked it. Or maybe a neighbor called it in. Does it matter? David's voice was flat. It's everywhere now. Good Morning America picked it up. They're calling it a cautionary tale about the dangers of cancel culture gone wrong. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. Honey, turn on channel 4. Now. David found a TV in the waiting area and switched to the local news. A perfectly coiffed reporter was standing outside Maya's high school, microphone in hand. Exclusive interviews with students who say the online harassment against 17-year-old Maya Martinez has created a climate of fear at Lincoln High. School officials have hired additional security after what they're calling credible threats were made against multiple students. The screen cut to a shaky phone video of Maya walking across the school parking lot, surrounded by a crowd of teenagers shouting questions and holding up phones. She looked tiny and overwhelmed, stumbling slightly as she tried to push through to her car. That was taken Tuesday, the reporter continued, just hours before Maya collapsed at her father's home and was rushed to the hospital. They interviewed Maya's friend Jessica, whose face was partially blurred. Maya's not eating, she's not sleeping. She's gotten hundreds of messages from strangers telling her she's a horrible person. But she was just upset about her dad getting remarried. She didn't know it would turn into this. Turn it off, I whispered, but David was transfixed. The segment ended with the reporter saying, Channel 4 has reached out to Sarah Chan, the stepmother at the center of this controversy, but she has declined to comment. We'll continue following this developing story. A woman sitting nearby looked up from her magazine, stared at us for a moment, then pulled out her phone. David noticed too. We need to leave, he said, but before we could move, a security guard approached. Excuse me, are you Sarah Chen? When I nodded reluctantly, he continued, hospital administration needs to speak with you. There have been reporters trying to get inside, claiming to be family members. We need to verify who has legitimate access to the patient. The meeting with hospital administration was humiliating. They were polite but firm, media attention was disrupting their facility, and they needed assurance that our presence wouldn't continue to attract cameras and reporters to a medical environment. We understand this is a difficult family situation, the administrator said carefully, but we have other patients to consider. If your stepdaughter doesn't want you here, and your presence is creating a security concern. Afterward, David and I sat in his car in the hospital parking garage, neither of us starting the engine. Marcus texted, David said eventually. Maya wants to make a public statement. Her therapist thinks it might help if she takes control of the narrative. What kind of statement? An apology. To you. She wants to tell everyone she was wrong about the miscarriage, that she was acting out because she was hurt and angry. David, no. Putting her in front of cameras right now. It's not cameras. It's a written statement Marcus would post on Facebook. I thought about Maya, small and broken in that hospital bed, feeling responsible for this wildfire that had consumed all our lives. She shouldn't have to apologize for being 17 and making a mistake. But if she wants to, then we're all failing her. The statement Maya wanted to post was heartbreaking in its self-blame. Marcus read it to us over the phone, his voice cracking. I lied about my stepmom faking her miscarriage because I was angry and hurt. She never did anything wrong. I'm sorry for the pain I caused her and for wasting everyone's time with my lies. Please leave my family alone. Asterisk. She can't post that, I said immediately. Marcus, she's taking responsibility for things that aren't her fault. Yes, she made a mistake, but what happened after? The mob, the reporters, the threats, that's not on her. Sarah, she wants to fix this. Then let me fix it instead. David looked at me sharply. What are you thinking? That evening, I sat at my laptop and wrote my own statement. Not the groveling apology Channel 7 wanted, not the defensive justification my lawyer suggested, but the truth. Asterisk 2 weeks ago, my 17-year-old stepdaughter posted something hurtful about me online during a family crisis. She was wrong to do it, but she was also a teenager processing complex emotions about divorce, remarriage, and loss in the only way she knew how, through social media. Asterisk. Asterisk what I did next was worse. As a 34-year-old adult, I chose public humiliation over private conversation. I chose nuclear revenge over family healing. I turned a teachable moment into a cautionary tale. Asterisk. Asterisk Maya is in the hospital tonight, not because of what she posted, but because of what I chose to do about it. Because I prioritized my wounded pride over her well-being. Because I forgot that being right doesn't make you righteous. Asterisk. Asterisk the miscarriage was real. My grief was real. But so was hers, grief over her parents' divorce, over feeling displaced in a new family dynamic, over being 17 and not knowing how to process any of it. Asterisk. Asterisk I'm not asking for forgiveness from the internet. I'm asking the internet to leave my daughter alone. Yes, my daughter. Because that's what she is, and it took almost losing her for me to remember it. Asterisk. Asterisk Maya, if you're reading this, you don't need to apologize for being human. I need to apologize for forgetting you were asterisk. Asterisk to everyone who defended me, thank you, but please stop. To everyone who attacked a teenager based on incomplete information, please remember there's always more to the story asterisk. Asterisk our family is broken right now. We're going to try to fix it privately, the way we should have from the beginning. I hope you'll let us. Asterisk. I posted it everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even LinkedIn. Then I turned off my phone. The response was swift and unexpected. The story shifted overnight from evil stepmother versus lying teenager to what viral outrage does to real families. The threats against Maya stopped. The reporters moved on to the next scandal. 3 days later, I was allowed to visit Maya in the hospital. She was sitting up, looking fragile but alert, picking at a cup of applesauce. Hi, I said uncertainly from the doorway. Hi. She gestured to the chair beside her bed. Dad showed me what you wrote. Maya, I'm so sorry. No, I'm sorry. What I posted about the miscarriage was horrible. I knew it wasn't true when I wrote it. You were 17 and angry. I was 34 and should have known better. We sat in silence for a moment. Finally, Maya said, do you think we can start over? All of us? I'd like that, I said. But it's going to take time. Yeah. She managed a small smile. Maybe we could start by staying off social media for a while? I laughed despite everything. Deal. 6 months later, our family looks different than it did before. David and I are in counseling. Maya and I text regularly, carefully rebuilding trust. Marcus and I have cordial conversations at school events. The internet has forgotten us, moved on to the next viral outrage. But we remember. We remember what happens when private pain becomes public spectacle, when we forget that real people exist behind the screens. We're not perfect, but we're family. And this time, we're keeping it offline.